Hi, it's Thursday afternoon from the beautiful campus of the University of Maryland at College Park. It's a beautiful day, but I'm going to talk about an unbeautiful thing. That would be the latest kerfuffles of the president. First off, of course, up for the obligatory attaboy on Gaza. Although I think we should send troops to feed people, and Netanyahu can't be the ultimate. We need to either have a world force or our force. So there's that. Then the next thing is no kings. Yeah, the next couple of stories show why no kings is a thing, and should be. Example 1. Trump wants money. He's still guilty, but hey, he wants some money anyway. The thing is, he can't have it. I'm going to be, texting the Office of General Counsel. I don't know if anybody's going to respond to the text. Maybe send him a letter. I don't know. They'll take long enough that probably a letter will get there in time. But the domestic emoluments clause said that a president can only get money from his salary, which means he can't get a judgment. So his rights of a citizen are thus limited by his office. So it's the opposite of his immunity to criminal prosecution. Yeah, he can't be criminally prosecuted for most things, but he can't be paid either. So he can be paid for his business can be paid, but he can't. So yeah, the Trump family can't. Donald Trump as a person cannot get that money. Sorry, Donald. The other king thing, even though he can do it legally, is the ballroom and knocking down the East Wing. Again, he has the right to do it, but it's a bad look, especially if he makes it a gold thing, because all that's going to have to be ripped out. Hopefully it's not real gold. So yeah, and it's not going to happen. People think, oh, he's doing this because he wants to stay around for a while. It's not going to live that long, so that's not a worry. But the worry is, somebody's going to have to rip out all that crap. The Oval Office, that's one thing. That's an easy change. But in fact, they should wake him. They should start it while he's still president, so they can get rid of all the stuff while he's watching. So yeah, need to undo it or do it in such a way that he sees it, and it's like, and it has class, of course, too. So yeah. I mean, for now, here's the thing about the about Trump's criminal stuff, though. Let me circle back to it. The only thing they were prosecuting him for is paperwork. They're not actually prosecuting him for knowledge of the insurrection and all that entails, which there is evidence for that. Again, his speech on the Capitol showed that he knew what the elite core of the rioters were doing, and why they were going to bust through lobbies and actually find senators to convince them, to give them strength, as he said. So yeah, that's accusatory, and they can say that hang Mike Pence was a deflection. He's famous for those, and so is Roger Stone. And that the fact that he's then called everything off, or started to call everything off, then realized, hold on, I can't do this fast, but the records are there. When Ashley Babbitt was killed and her Confederates were arrested, because he was watching. He was engaged. He did not just sit and do nothing. He was actively engaged in managing the effort. So his calling it off, shows the engagement. But they're not prosecuting him for that, because that would be conspiracy to commit murder. Although there's not evidence for that. The problem is that prosecutorial standards prevent him from being prosecuted. So, because it's not in the federal system, you can't just say, oh yeah, the circumstantial evidence is enough. It might be, but it could also be a coincidence. You'd have to get somebody saying, yeah, he was involved in the planning and this is how. Now, luckily, the people involved have been pardoned, so they're not immune. They have no immunity to not testify. In fact, if they don't testify, then they can be held in contempt by the court and all kinds of other nasty things. And if they lie, they get perjury, and all those things. Preferably when Trump leaves office again, if he survives. So history will show that Trump was involved, but until then, and of course, the other factor is whether he can be prosecuted. There has to be some effort that's outside the Department of Justice that seeks that prosecution. Until that happens, nobody has standing to overturn the Office of General Counsel's opinion that binds the Department of Justice, but is not tested in court, because it really can't be, because there's nobody to test it. So, in our adversarial system, so unless somebody actually finds a way to test it, it stays, and then which means Trump stays. Only God can take care of him. So, say a prayer. That's it.